So this is a parable which took me how many hours to decode, I will say. So first off, this is the parable in Ezekiel chapter 16, which is two eagles and a vine. I will say that I highly recommend, before getting into this parable, if you've not read the book of Ezekiel, at least to this point, I recommend that you do, because I'm just going to give the smallest background, and basically that it's when Babylon comes and takes over the kingdoms, because otherwise this video is going to be so long. So I do recommend that you definitely read it, because it's not like your normal parable. It's not a parable you can necessarily like pick out. It's a parable that goes with what's happening at that time, and it's like a parable within like a riddle that leads to a pathetic word. So I'm going to start. So it says, "The word of God came to me, Son of man, set forth an allegory and tell it to the Israelites as a parable. Say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. An eagle with powerful wings, long feathers, and full plumage of varied colours came to Lebanon. Taking hold of the top of a cedar, he broke off its top, most shot, and carried it away to the land of merchants, where he planted it in a city of traders. He took one of the seedlings of the land and put it in fertile soil. He planted it like a willow by abundant water, and it sprouted and became a low-spreading vine. Its branches turned towards him, but its roots remained under. So it became a vine and produced branches and put out leafy boughs. But there was another great eagle with powerful wings and full of plumage. The vine now sent out its root towards him from the plot where it was planted, and stretched out of its branches to him for water. It had been planted in good soil by abundant water, so that it would produce branches, bear fruit, and become a splendid vine. Say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Will it thrive? Will it not be uprooted and stripped of its fruit so that it withers? All its new growth will wither. It will not take a strong arm or many people to pull up by the roots. It has been planted, but will it thrive? Will it not wither completely when the east and wind strikes it? Wither away in the plot where it grew." So the first eagle is the king of Babylon at this time. I'm not going to pronounce his name, I'm going to try. The cedar tree is the king of Jerusalem, and at that time Babylon came to Jerusalem. So Babylon picks up a seed and takes seed from Israel and plants it in this plant, in the ground. Now it grows. It says it grows, but no fruits are coming. But it's still full of life. Then the second eagle. Now the second eagle is the king of Egypt, which is Pharaoh. He comes. He's all, this eagle is just a lot stronger and everything. So they then go towards the eagle in hopes that that they will prosper a lot more. So when it comes to kind of the riddle bit, will they survive, will they not, it's basically saying, will this treaty with Egypt, will it help Israel prosper, or will it not? And it follows up with a prophecy basically saying, no, it's not going to help. They're not going to help. It's going to, basically, they're going to break the treaty. But it does say from verse 22, which I'm going to read. Where is it? Oh. So from verse 22, it says, "This is what the sovereign Lord says. I myself will take a shot from the very top of a cedar and plant it. I will break off a tender sprig from its topmost shot and plant it on high and lofty mountains. On the mountain heights of Israel I will plant it. It will become branches and bear fruit and become a splendid cedar. Birds of every kind will nest in it. They will find shelter in the shade of its branches. All the trees of the forest will know that I, the Lord, bring down the tall tree and make the low tree grow tall. I dry up the green tree and make the dry tree flourish. I, the Lord, have spoken, and I will do it." And before then, he talks about how, how he will take revenge on how, Egypt ends up, breaking the treaty. But, so you're probably thinking, okay, that applies at that time, but what can we, how can we apply this parable to our lives? And it's just that simple, kind of from verse 22, is the fact that sometimes we rely on humans. Maybe it's kings, if you live in a country that still has kings, or even the government to, to help us prosper. But really, we should be relying on God, and He's making the point here that He's the only one who will make the Israelites' life. He was the only one who will bring fruits to their lives. He's the only one that you can actually trust, because it says here, the Lord has spoken, I will do it. And the God does not lie. He never lies. He never lies. So it's just a reminder that we should not, instead of trusting on humans, which don't get me wrong, is a thing that happens. I mean, if you trust in the government, you hope that the government are gonna help you on, if you run into difficulties or whatever, or even maybe the police, that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, God is the only one that you can trust. Not saying you can't trust the government. Don't get me wrong on this. I'm not saying you can't trust the government. You should be able to trust the government. You should be able to trust, the law of the land, the people that govern the law, the police, that sort of thing. I'm not saying that sort of thing, but what I'm saying, at the end of the day, God is the only one that can bring fruits to your life. It is the only one that can bring fruits to your life. Yeah, for example, I don't know, like your job. Yeah, your job, brings fruits of money, so you can, but at the end of the day, to feel, to feel fully blessed and to feel fully fulfilled is to trust in God.